Hello and welcome to Lost in South Oz. Today we're at Fort Glanville and having a walk around on, it's not an open exhibition day, but we've been lucky enough that the volunteers have opened the doors and letting us have a tour around, have a walk around. Here we have the display of the uniforms and some of the guns. And your name's John, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we have John, who's been nice enough to give us a tour around.
Welcome to Fort Glanville. The reason Fort Glanville and Fort Logs were built was the government jetty would jut out to allow barges to unload goods and lighter them into the jetty. If you had stood here in the 1880s and looked directly behind you, you would have seen a forest of yards of the sailing ships, and of course to avoid being towed in to the port through the Port River, you ended up moving, lightering out the grain ships at Semaphore and Large Jetty. They're both to the north. There was 3 forts planned. Jetty Glenelg was the last one.
When was this one built?
1880.
And
First
1880, and the reason for it? To defend the shoreline?
defend the shoreline, but more importantly, to defend that anchorage at Semaphore. Largs was built later, but because the Largs Jetty, which was a private concern, private concern was built to compete with the government jetty. So there was a fair bit. Of course, you had Glenelg Jetty down south, and the intention was to build a fort where West Beach is now. In fact, all the armament were brought over and stored in the shed, and then by the First World War they were obsolete and they were cut up.
But this fort itself didn't see any active...
No. Largs did fire a shot across the bows of an incoming freighter that they didn't recognise.
All right.
It turned out to be an American freighter that had just come in to the port and they hadn't got the codes. So,
John, if anyone wants to come and do a tour here, there's usually, like, I believe they fire the gun once a month, do they?
we do on our open day.
On open days?
Yeah. And we have had in the past tour groups from various schools.
Okay.
Will often not fire the little 2-pounder, which I'll show you later.
Yeah. But they can book through the website?
Yes. And
there is a phone number as well?
Yeah. We have had a hiatus in the sense that COVID hit us, and then we got a grant from the government, from part of our actions as members for the restoration of the fort, which is virtually closed.
It's been extensive, hasn't it?
Yeah.
The big fence around the front there?
Yeah.
And the workmen are there today.
Yeah. Excuse me. Just a little bit more background, technical information. What you're looking at is a 9-pounder smoothbore gun.
It's bronze?
Bronze. And it was gifted to the state in about 1860. The date on the Canon puts it 1812, sorry.
1812.
Yeah. So, and
It's in lovely condition.
it and its other one over there is...
Oh, this one here?
No, that's a different calibre.
Oh, okay.
The
one on the wall.
The bronze gun.
Oh, the other one in there, we'll probably go and have a look at that one.
What I'll point out are...
There's quite a lot of guns here. Old guns.
Duke of Wellington Cipher. He was the master gunner for English artillery. The Queen Victoria Cipher.
Oh, okay.
And
have a look at those. That's the Queen Victoria one, and that's the Duke
of Wellington. They're smoothbore,
the cannonball,
canister. They were more or less built on a field carriage, that size.
Dragged by horses?
Yeah, the team was 6 usually.
Yeah.
And there was a team of 9 gunners to each gun. The sort of drill we do at the fort here is actually based on the 1856 drill manual for a field artillery.
Ooh.
This is...
I'll just back up here so we can get...
Yeah, sorry.
No.
1860, I believe, is on the trunnions.
Okay.
And again, we've got the Victoria Cipher.
Yep,
here.
I'll just have a look at that one. Got people to have a look at the Victoria Cipher.
Yeah. Now, it's interesting in that there's a change between the guns. That one is bronze.
Yep.
Easy to cast, and that. But this one is a 16-pounder shell gun, rifled, and its range comes from probably 1,200 yards for the bronze gun.
Yep.
The range of this
increases.
Is about 3,500 yards.
And was it a carriage gun or was it mounted in the ship?
No, it was a carriage gun, similar what they called a concrete balance carriage.
Oh, okay.
There's about, I think, 60 pounds preponderance on the back end of the gun. These are the last of the field pieces that still have tram. The British, in their time, decided to try breech loading, and there were various forms of breech loading.
Oh, yeah. Which, of course, these are all muzzle loaders.
Yeah, loaded from the front end.
It's a large projectile there.
Yeah, it would have been, I think we've got one.
Well, I mean, this one at the door, is it a dummy or it's a large projectile?
It's a reproduction.
Yeah, reproduction.
One of our members
reproduce that one?
Reproduce that one.
And so
it's a 10-inch Palliser.
So they would, were they like?
Yeah, that was about 400 pounds.
400 pounds.
I'm sorry I'm talking in pounds, but...
Yeah, well, that's the way they were made, wasn't it, in the day?
Yeah.
And my camera's getting it.
Yeah. If you like to follow me through...
Yeah.
Now,
this
also
one.
gifted were 2 of these. This is a 24-pounder speed gun, and they were both the 2 9-pounders, and there was a second 24-pounder that's now in the Army Museum. They were rescued from being cut up by scrap by Sir Baden Patterson, the governor of South Australia, and he said, I'll take the barrels, put them on a mock wooden truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, for truck.
Well, the bronze is probably worth a lot of money, but there's too much history in it.
Yeah.
We want to preserve that.
And they mounted them outside the gates of the government house. So
Beautiful guns. And this is the other gun, there's the pair to the one at the door there.
yeah, this is the
So we've got,
these two. This is the various paper display.
of the fort. Yeah, look at it. There's a map up there of the fort.
There's a mention of the 32 pounder.
Yeah.
And we're dressed in colonial uniforms.
Which, yeah, when the fort was opened.
Yeah. There's Battery Sergeant Major Militz.
Which you're talking about. I've got to get in closer so they can see it.
Yeah. Who was it was always claimed by his relatives that he was number one permanent force artillery.
Okay.
That is another 16 pounder.
Yep.
That would have been on a wooden carriage.
And that would have, is, obviously the bronze one is a cannonball.
Yeah.
Is the other one a cartridge, like a cartridge?
Yeah, it's a projectile, what they call cono-cylindrical.
Okay.
And it had brass studs which engaged the rifling, allowed it to spin and gave it greater accuracy.
Oh, so it was rifled?
Yeah.
Okay.
And in the corner is it is an army, a police uniform of an inspector.
Because the Largs Bay Fort, I think, is closed at the moment.
Yeah.
And they're doing a lot of construction up there. And that used to be the old, I believe it used to, from my understanding, it used to be they had the police display in there as well.
Yeah.
Which is...
Yeah. On some occasions we've invited the Police Historical Society to come down, and they bring down their Black Mariah. Yeah, the old horse-drawn that's got various...
I wanted to go and look at that one, but unfortunately I was a bit late to go and have a look at Largs Bay Fort.
Now, Jose Maria Gordon was a Spanish Scot who went back to England as a young child, along with his family, the Gordon family, and he trained at Sandhurst, came out due to ill health, he was going to go to India, he then went to South Australia, Melbourne. He had various careers. When he came to South Australia, he was made commandant and surveyor builder for the fort itself.
The police officer?
No, he became a lieutenant officer in the permanent force artillery.
Oh, okay.
And he helped set it up, did all the
Let's swing around this way.
training and hills. Now, sort of, sorry to rush you along, but...
Oh, no.
Sorry. This is a 32 pounder, and the remnants
Of the shells?
of the
The projectiles? The muzzles, these are actually the gun.
This is what's left of the gun.
And
in 1900, they were declared US, and these prior to that were stationed inside the fort with the smoothbore guns as local defence.
So do these explode while being used?
No, they were part of the engineers' exercise, they destroyed the guns.
To have a look at them, how they were made up.
Yeah.
But they look like they were cast. Imagine how, you can look at even my hand against it, there's huge.
Yeah.
So they would have been the size of those.
Yeah.
32 pounder, so the diameter of the barrel was...
I don't really know.
It was a big gun like the ones that were out there.
Yeah. There's photographs of it sitting, if we sort of come over here.
Yeah.
Sorry to drag you around.
No. Lucky enough that you're showing us around.
That's the 9-pounder, and you notice a drill is involved. Lieutenant Gordon had a big dog, and I think it might have even been
I'm just sitting out.
one of the big Saint Bernard, one of the big, although it looks like...
Oh, it's like a German Shepherd, or...?
No, it's bigger than that.
Oh, it's bigger, yeah.
Yeah, it's up around here on the guy's thigh.
Yeah. We'll just see if I can zoom in on that photo. Yeah, it's big. And that's here at this fort?
Yeah.
So it would have been the parade grounds in front of the fort or inside the fort? No,
inside the parade is the manning parade.
Yeah.
The groups would assemble when they were preparing to fire the gun.
Yeah.
We've got 4 guns, A, B1, B2 and C.
So all 4 are still here, or only 3 in situ now?
Oh, they're all in situ here.
Oh. Amazing. It survived the test of time, hasn't it?
Luckily we have the barrels. In 1938 they were actually cut up and then sent to Japan as pig iron bob. In Carthage. We got them back, I think, in the Darwin raids.
Yeah.
But they were all cast iron. That's how they were dropped.
Whoa. So the scrappers were taking them?
Yeah.
We're trying to take them.
Yeah.
And what we've got in that picture is the barrels laying on the ground.
Yeah.
And the fort is in really bad condition by looks in the picture of that.
Yeah.
It was almost abandoned at some point.
Yeah. And you notice here that this is the opening of the fort.
Yeah,
The
there's...
first firing, October 1st, 1880.
Yeah.
What amazed me is if you look at the construction,
Yeah.
it's all sand.
Well, most of South Australia is sand.
Yeah, but
Very hard to build in.
how they built it was an incredible work of contractors, and it would have all been built by muscle.
Yeah.
When we get down the fort, I'll take you down into the component.
Okay, I'm just going to spin around. It tends to, this thing tends to focus, and when it locks this, I have lots of drama with this thing. Anyway, John, we'll keep walking.
Okay.
But just for everyone, John's given me permission that to be on camera, so
Yeah.
you're okay with that? So everyone knows, everyone watching the channel knows that John's given permission, so.
Yeah. Again, there's a collection of shells.
Yeah.
They're all reproduction. That's a 9-inch modern, what we consider breech loading.
So that would be like a replica of something from the Second World War?
Yeah, that's that.
Yeah.
That is, of course, the 10-inch. And these 3 down here are concrete made 64 pounder.
So they're 32, so it's twice as big as that.
Yeah. And
So they look like, 16, to give you some idea, they look probably approaching like 20 centimetres in diameter.
yeah. They're actually 6.3 inch diameter.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
a bit over 20.
Yeah. And of course, they were all loaded from the muzzle. They had the 10 inch had multi-groove rifling, and that is shown on the base of that as a multi-groove. These, however, had 6 rows of studs triangly set, and that's how they spun the shell.
We'll spin it around this way because obviously,
Yeah.
what's in here? Oh, old bottles.
This-
Swords up here, bayonets.
Yes, it's actually a reproduction of the shield that Gordon recommended to Hutton
Yeah,
when he was CEO of the military forces, Hutton,
yeah.
and Gordon was a member of the Duntroon
Okay.
committee, and he and Hutton were discussing over a few ports, as they do.
Yeah.
Hutton was bitterly not complaining, but saying, we need a badge for all the federal forces.
And
And all the states wanted to have their helmet plates with a...
they want their emblem.
Yeah, yeah. And
this one represents them all.
Yeah. So Gordon turned around and said to Hutton that he said, I've got the ideal thing. Come into my office. And above his desk on the wall was that original shield.
Ah.
And the Fort Glanville gunners had actually won it from the Creswell's, Commander Creswell's gunners on the Protector, so there's a link between the two.
Cool.
Now, the other one...
Watch out. Watch out. There's a little,
it's
smaller gun.
It's a mounted gun.
This is a smaller gun.
Yeah. Now,
Have a look
it's
at this.
rifled.
Yeah, it's sort of like almost like a hexagon at the outside.
Yeah.
At the muzzle in.
Yep. And it's again a breech loader. They were very popular with the Confederates.
All right. I'm going to back up a little bit more.
This was an experiment gun, and we believe this is the only fully intact gun remaining.
Yeah.
When the association started, we got a message from Parks and Wildlife person to say that one of their farmers down in the southeast had an old cannon barrel. Would we like to come down and negotiate with him?
Mm.
2 of our members flew down, and
Is it made of iron or bronze?
iron. It's an iron gun. Hexagonal rifling, 1 in 14 twist.
And the interesting little bit on the bottom there, that little thing with like corkscrew on it. What's
This is
that?
a wad hook.
And you had the wad would go in it and go down the barrel.
Yeah, it's clean. You know, generally you wrapped a bit of rag around it,
Yep.
soaked it in oil.
Yeah.
The sponge
But
rammer,
when the museum acquired it, was it complete or did they have to restore it?
they had to rebuild the whole carriage.
God, so it's a big job.
And of course, the rammer, being a muzzle loader, you've got to extinguish any,
Oh yeah.
any bits and pieces, burning fabric, because what you're putting down is about a 3-pound bag of gunpowder, and you fire through the touch hole.
Yeah.
You don't want to get it down.
We don't want anything, yeah.
It's Whitworth rifling, and
Whitworth is a different thing completely, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's another gauge completely, Whitworth.
Yeah, well, it's actually, you've got BSA, which is British Standard Association, Whitworth and Armstrong, both developed screw fittings, but Whitworth went a step further and developed his hexagonal rifling for the gun.
Okay.
There's some more.
They obviously replica.
16-pounder.
Replica 16-pounders either side of the door.
Yep. And I'll open the.
Once we get outside. Huge.
Come on through.
Come on, Drew. Thank you. Now everyone, it's going to get a little bit windy out here.
Yeah.
I have a problem with the wind, and there's nothing you can do about it usually. No matter what microphone I have, it just tends to have wind. So I just tend to say to people, just apologise for the wind.
Yeah. That was gifted us from St Bede's Church.
Okay.
And
they had that in their church?
they had it outside, and then they decided that it wasn't appropriate.
Well, I'd say so. I mean, it's not, we wouldn't be promoting shooting people with a cannon.
There's another one, and I believe that's in private ownership.
And
This is a 4-pounder.
yeah.
gun.
That is huge, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a 9-inch disappearer.
And that's obviously, that's not off a ship, that's got to be mounted.
Yeah, they had disappearers at Fort Glanville as the flank guns. And
it was a breech loader, obviously.
yeah.
And all the gates missing, the what do you call the lock?
Yeah. And what they did was they would run the ammunition on a trolley, put it into the pit that these were sitting under, and then bring up the charges.
Well,
this one actually came from Queenscliff. It came over, apparently Perry Engineering were asking for a load of metal made before 1900 so that they could make canisters out.
they're going to scrap that cannon.
Yeah, or cut it up.
Melt it down for scrap and, right.
Create
so much of South Australia gets scrapped.
I know. Especially if you look at the early things.
Like the old post boxes. How many of those have been scrapped?
Yeah, we got gifted that.
It's beautiful.
From Port Adelaide.
And they were just all, and you hardly see any of those. There's still some in situ around Adelaide.
Yeah.
Very few of them though.
Yeah, it is part of the original macadam asphalt.
That's the original surface of the parade.
Yeah, you notice that they're using river pebbles.
Oh, they did a lot of that.
Yeah.
They used what they had, even the railways.
Yeah, well, part of the wall restoration, they closed the wall, and it's actually a river pebbles were used as part of the concrete.
Oh, fair enough. You use what you've got, don't you?
Yeah.
Whoa! And what they've done is with that, this fence has been restored.
Yes.
As you can see, there's an old section over there.
Yeah.
Is the original part of the original fence?
Yeah, unfortunately, white ants and...
South Australia is prone for white ants, so...
yeah. Luckily, they're removing the last of the wood and the structure.
Yeah.
What
do they replace it with? What sort of timber is being replaced with? Something like an Aussie gum, right?
Originally, the original reproduction of Palisade was done in Jarrah.
Ah.
You can't cut it anymore in Jarrah.
No. So these are the original gates we're looking at here? Or they've been replaced at some point?
They probably lasted better because A, they're not attached to the ground.
Yeah. The ants can't get up.
Yeah, and also they've been tar coated.
Yeah, right. I'll go through it?
Yeah. Do you know anyone that wants a couple of wagon wheels?
No.
We originally had them on the 16-pounder.
But they're looking for a new home?
Yeah. You'd have to be very careful with them because
they're very fragile.
Yeah.
But they're from the gun carriage.
Yeah, they were.
And be very heavy.
Yeah. You wouldn't want it to fall on you. Now.
Where do we start?
Right. I'll just say, you notice that the fort is a lunette, what they call a lunette configuration.
Half moon?
Half moon. And it is a true fort in the sense that it has rear defendable walls. Now, remember the 32-pounder I was talking about?
We're talking about rear defendable walls. There's all those gun ports up the top there. Rifle ports.
Loopholes. Yeah. And the walls are built on a break on a foundation of sand and rough brick.
Right.
But it's the first use of Portland cement.
Yeah, and it hasn't moved, obviously.
No.
It's in situ.
Yeah.
Drain coming in the side there.
There's been a lot of, in the 1980s, there was a lot of money spent, I think it was about $60,000 to put in the concrete and put the paving in. It was all done by the PPD, the then History Trust.
That's where you want to look around here. It's a building in the middle, so
yeah.
Is that their accommodation?
Yes, that's the barracks. I don't know if I can at the moment.
Are they doing restoration? It's got an underground too, looks it.
Yeah. There's Tim, is the underground and the barracks open?
But okay, we can go in the barracks.
Yeah.
Okay. How many soldiers were housed in here?
There was, this force staff 50, but 18 could sleep comfortably in the barracks.
So 18 slept here and 50 during the day. Thank you.
Morning.
Morning. Yeah, Ellie is saying everything was defensible. They had, John was trying to say before, is there's rifling along the wall, so if anyone got into the fort, they could definitely defend the fort with the rifle ports.
The roof above is actually about 6 inches of concrete. it was supposedly bomb-proof for the period.
Well, for, yeah, 1800s.
Yeah.
We're not talking Second World War, we're not talking nuclear.
Well,
We're talking cannons.
yeah. And the other thing was that most of the trajectory for the incoming shells from a ship
Yeah.
were supposedly only about 5 degrees. There was no super elevation above 45.
Ah, okay.
And the definition of these, the upper works,
Yep, which is what you're looking at. Well,
upper works is all called the battery,
yep.
where the guns face out. As I said, when we were here earlier, then they were
I'm noticing
defendable rear wall.
I'm noticing all the sensors, so people think that you can just help yourself. There is definitely security here.
Yeah.
Don't just make your way in. Come and see all the nice people here if you want to come and have a look at it, please.
Yeah. Now.
Whoa. Yes.
Sorry?
We can see the wires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, normally when people come in, this is the adjutant's room.
And for most people, what's an adjutant?
An adjutant is like the manager. That I believe Harry Hawker was a lieutenant here and also adjutant. The Sergeant Major, Battery Sergeant Major Moritz, would have been the gentleman working in his office. And you had what they called the defaulters and requesters parade, and the corporal.
What's a defaulter? Someone doesn't want to do their job.
Someone that's guilty of something or other.
Oh, okay.
And we've equipped the officer's bedroom. There would have been 2 cots in there.
See, and for most people that are sleeping on a very nice bed, that's an iron bed. It would not be very comfortable at all, but for the day it was what they had.
Yeah. Well, then you can't start looking at what the men did. Most of the books are probably over 100 years old. They're not real records. They're only put there to.
Well, it's a museum. It's to look like it used to look.
Yeah.
Well, the key and the key locker in the corner. I noticed.
The
fireplace is beautiful.
yeah,
But it's not original.
No. This would have been put in when the caretaker was using this as a residence.
Yeah.
Plus the store would have been cut in.
And these are the timber handles. That's not original, is it?
Yeah.
That's what it looks like looking out the firing port.
Yeah, it would have been bloody cold in winter.
And it's just like, how thick are these walls? 2 foot thick?
I reckon they're about probably 2.5.
And so there's, this is solid
Timber.
and this is stone.
Compressed stone and Portland cement. This door was cut in 1920.
Wow, and this is the mess hall, or is this where they slept?
Where they slept.
Because downstairs what was downstairs that we could,
Mess and
that would have been the kitchen and stuff.
yeah.
Gee.
Here you can see the men in this period. Any idle time was the work of the devil. So the men were encouraged to read. The gunners saw themselves as professionals.
Take care of the uniforms, the guns,
They
boots.
got an allocation of a certain amount of money from which they had to be responsible for their uniforms, clean, tidy.
Look at the timbers. The timbers are lovely. Huge, big timbers in this building.
Yeah,
And it doesn't look as though the white ants have bothered them. Oh, no, not really.
yeah. There's a few marks. There was,
A beautiful fireplace.
yeah.
Nice one.
Again,
That's not original because it's Victorian, isn't it? So
Yeah.
that's like early 1900s.
yeah. And of course,
And
a commode in the corner there.
a picture of Queen Victoria herself on the wall.
Windsor widow.
And Queen Victoria is my favourite queen.
Yeah.
Sorry, Queen Elizabeth was nice, but I love Queen Victoria.
This gives you an idea of the uniforms set out. Again, the beds would only be folded out for the men that were on duty, nighttime duty. All the rest would have been folded up, kit lay, blankets.
Yep.
The men had, we've got an original bed.
Yeah, there's one bed there,
Yeah. That
which is not as luxurious as the officer's bed.
No. In fact, the men were given two blankets.
That was it.
That was it. They would have had to keep it tidy. There was given a straw palliasse.
A straw. What's that?
Palliasse. It's almost like a giant bed sheet folded into an envelope
Okay.
and stitched.
And I noticed in the wall, in the windows, that would have been shutters, steel shutters.
Steel shutters.
So in times of war, they could have, or if they're being invaded, they could have shut those.
Yeah, and there were two levels.
there's a
When we go downstairs,
Oh, I don't think we can.
yeah, I've got the key.
Oh, we do.
Yeah,
Okay. And the on the shelves up there, those square, like suitcase-looking things.
They're
backpacks.
yeah, and the belt. I haven't got an example here, but there's the 2-pounder.
That's £2. Obviously not the right. Is that actually the size of the 2-pounder?
Yeah.
So that's what
The
goes in the
shell.
can, the shell.
Yeah, the
That's
shells were made up by one of our members.
That's a projectile.
Yeah, and of course the 16-pounder. Everything was canvas bags.
For wadding, the chub.
Yeah.
What do they call it? They put behind the.
Jute wad.
Yeah, they put the powder in, and then they put a wadding behind that, and then the projectile.
Well, for safety reasons, they would only use bagged powder,
Okay. Black powder.
black powder.
Yeah, black powder.
And of course, during the idle times, the men were encouraged to play games, play instruments.
Yeah.
Some of them would have made models, reflecting on the guns,
Yeah.
how they moved the guns up using winch and a 3-legged lifting hoist.
Yeah. You want to go this way or that way?
Yeah.
You can go this way.
Well, see if I can get this door open.
It actually opened. Yeah. No, maybe not.
Maybe not.
That's it. Just poke him out. It's just blowing. Okay. We'll just go. We'll go back this way.
Yeah. You'll have to.
Cleanliness rules.
Yeah.
Leaving the area clean.
And that's actually the Queen Victoria's Jubilee, the South Australian contingent.
I believe she did a walk through here as well. There's a sign on the plaque saying that was it Queen Elizabeth did a walk through here.
Yeah.
Had a look at the fort.
Yeah.
If you want to go first, I'll follow you.
Yeah.
What's the doorway?
Hang on.
You got caught up. The old bell phone on the wall there.
Yeah, unfortunately we had the break-in at the
Oh no.
at the guardhouse, and they took our wall phone.
They stole the wall phone.
Yeah,
That's sad.
it was a hand phone. Now, just watch your step.
Yeah, take our time. Very steep steps.
Yeah. And they're also
Oh,
you okay?
yeah, I'm fine. I'm just looking at the pigeons. There's obviously a pigeon got a home above this stairway.
Actually, I think they're kestrels.
Whoa.
Right.
This is obviously where the men ate, or well, the men got their food made from.
Yeah. Your friend coming in?
I'll go and see what she's doing. Julie. Lovely old wood-fired stove.
Yeah, that came out of an old government house.
Oh, you here?
Yeah, up at Blair. It's the Simpson #1 range. And
Beautiful.
of course, I'm going to take my mask off, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
The men were issued rations of 1¼ pound of meat a day,
And that was
1 pound of flour.
obviously kept in the kitchen and meals provided, but that was their due.
Then, on top of that, they were given plenty of tea and sugar.
Yeah.
Sugar was no problem in the British Empire at that stage because of long-standing contracts with Jamaica, which meant that they
Had lots and lots of sugar.
lots and lots.
What about alcohol?
Who's turned the light off?
Right, we can see what we're doing.
That's of course the Windsor Widow.
Did they get a ration of alcohol, or there wasn't alcohol in that?
It's hard to say.
Because usually on ships and stuff, they were given a ration of alcohol.
Yeah.
Or actually on ships, I think they actually wanted them to drink.
It was a lot of it was probably local beer.
Yeah, yeah.
I know. I had one member who was looking at Moritz, and he said he'd been a Presbyterian. Would have probably encouraged the men not to drink.
But yeah.
When they were off duty, the last thing you wanted was a half-drunken fool wandering around.
Well, with a gun.
Lighting cigarette.
Or a gun.
Yeah. The men would have, I often ask the kids, what would they eat? How would they eat?
Yeah.
And again, the men were not demoted, deleted 6pence a week for vegetables. So,
Which are important.
Very few green leaf vegetables.
Okay.
There was onion, garlic, potato,
Carrots. Yeah.
maybe peas.
Yeah. Where would they have come from? They would have grown them themselves, or they would have been brought
From the local markets.
Mm-hmm.
A quarter of the meat allocation could be fat and gristle and bone. So if you had a particularly skinny beef cow, you ended up with a bit more bone than you wanted. A good cook would possibly buy the whole beast, slaughter it,
Yep. Oh, so that the chef, the cook that worked here had to kill their own meat.
Yeah, yeah. And what he'd then do is the things like the hearts, lungs.
Yeah.
They had.
Well, they probably use everything.
Yeah, everything. That,
Yeah.
yeah. Even in the British forces of the colonial. The British forces in the continental America.
Yeah.
Would have brought in cattle. Beef was always preferred rather than lamb,
Yeah.
rather than mutton, but they would slaughter even the ox of the various cuts. Most of it would have been ground up, mixed with flour to make what the square patties, what the locals named them as scrubbers. They resembled the scrubbing pad. They burnished up all the metalwork.
Yeah.
It probably tasted a little bit better.
Yeah, slightly.
Yeah. Gordon encouraged the men to grow in front of the barracks a lot of herb garden.
Oh, okay. Well, make the food taste better.
Yeah, and also medicinal purposes.
Yep.
Garlic on a cut or an abrasion.
It's an antiseptic.
Yep. If you come through this way.
Let's have a brief. So this is where the cleaning, and looks like a ringing machine.
Yeah.
Clothes ringer, but
yeah,
we'll go through this way.
The men were encouraged to keep their uniform clean, tidy and repaired.
Oh, this is very dark in here.
Yeah, sorry, it's someone's turning the light off.
I've got a phone. I'll turn my phone on.
I can do the same. So, put that down there.
Someone's turned the light off upstairs, but what we're looking at here is, and the camera's picking it up, as you can see, it's quite dark for us, but the camera's actually picking it up. It looks like a general store, doesn't it, at the time?
Well, it's a sutler store.
So there would have been one here?
Yes. And the men would have run a tab.
Okay.
Which the adjutant would then deduct from their weekly stipend. I think they got 19 shillings and sixpence, which was pretty well better than the shilling a day regulars.
Did you want to go in there and take pictures?
And they were also, I think, in the series Anzacs.
Yeah.
It was always a bone of contention that the Australians were better paid.
Yeah.
A
lot of people, there's people out there who don't know Anzacs, Australian New Zealand Army Corps.
Yeah. And you've got to remember that the South Australian contingent to the Second Boer War.
Someone put those shutters there?
Yeah, we
found some shutters.
And of course.
Another gun port for looking outside the fort. This one actually goes outside.
Yeah.
Where the
dry ditch is.
They
don't call it a moat because it's never full of water.
And these are definitely iron plate. They're 1/4 inch thick.
Yeah. They would have stopped a lead bullet of the day.
Of the day, yeah.
Yeah.
7.62 these days probably go straight through it.
This is the #1 artillery store. It contained rockets, flares, fuses.
But not bullets.
but not any really sizable container.
So back in the day, it would have been ball, wouldn't it? It
Yeah.
wouldn't have been cartridge, it would have been ball in that
It
phase.
would have been, for the carbines, brass foil cartridges with an ounce of lead projectile.
So yeah, so they would have loaded them with, in other words, it wasn't a cartridge itself, was it?
It was a whole cartridge containing primer, and then you had a breech loader.
In the 1800s?
Yeah, 1880s.
I would have thought it had been black powder and ball, but...
Yeah. Now, the British in about 1850 went over to muzzle loading rifles,
Yep.
and they provided a really effective fire against the Russians and also the Indians during the first mutiny.
Oh. So what we're looking at here is, these are all ammunition boxes.
Yeah.
These remind me of 303 or even 7.62s. The more modern, funny thing about it is more modern cartridges came in those boxes too.
Yeah. Actually, I think we swapped them over.
Yeah.
And painted them.
Oh, I've got quite a few at my house because, you know, you collect them as you go.
Yeah. I don't know if you can see in here.
It's very dark. I can't see a thing in there. What would have been in there?
That's the officer's kitchen. This was cut through.
Oh, wait up. I can see a tiny bit in there, but it's...
Yeah, you're getting a reflection.
Getting a strange, very big reflection in here.
Yeah.
Because it's not lit up in there.
Yeah, but that was where they had a small stove. Now the officers would have ate separately.
Yep.
And
actually, if I come around that way, I might be able to see in that corner.
There's also...
Yeah, look, I can see a little bit there.
Yeah, unfortunately, most of the Hessian sacks have actually dissolved.
Oh.
They've fallen apart from when the officers' bedroom was set up.
So there would have been. So how would they have got into there? Outside the other side.
Yeah.
So the officers would have. So this would have been. The what they call it again, the not the officers, this would have been the everyday.
For the OR's west. Mess. OR's mess.
And so the officers would have gone to another kitchen because they were separate.
Well, they would have met up probably in their office or in their room, and they would have had a...
Would they have had someone take them their meal?
Yeah. And
okay.
Although Gordon, being the sort of general engineer in Dogsbury, would have spent time at Largs Pier while they were building Largs, Fort Largs, and then in about the Second Boer War, he was a commander of a flying column in South Africa.
Okay.
And then at Federation, of course, he became not an adjutant, but a director of Duntroon.
Yes.
Set up Duntroon as the military office. In 1910, he took a flight in a Bristol boxcar aircraft.
Yeah.
And when he got back, he set up Point Cook.
Okay.
So as a flying school.
Yeah.
And he saw the value of observation with aerial observation.
Yeah.
And being an artillery officer, you know, the higher up you are, the more you can see.
Who has the higher ground.
Yeah. And then he turned 65 in August 24th and was forced to retire. Much to his chagrin, of course, the First World War broke out in
Well, he's 65, he wouldn't have gone to active duty anyway, would he?
no.
He's too old.
Yeah, he was a brigadier general. He actually then set up a training course on Salisbury Plains.
Salisbury Plains? Yeah,
So-
up at Salisbury.
No, in England.
In England, oh, okay.
Returned to England
Okay.
on his retirement. And he wrote a book in about 1920 called The Chronicles of a Gay Gordon, The Life and Times of Jose Maria Gordon.
Okay.
He was a very interesting man. He did many, many things.
Does this door go up to the dry?
Yeah. So, if you follow me now.
We're going up? Where's this one go to outside there? Oh, was that a toilet was in there, was it?
Yeah.
Was that a toilet?
No, it's
A,
a store.
oh, that's another gun fort
Yeah.
to look after the dry moat. Oh, well, they didn't call it a moat, did they?
No, it's a dry ditch.
The dry ditch. So there would have been, well, it looks there would have been a place to rest the gun
Yeah.
and shoot out through there.
Yep. And that's it.
Want me to go up?
Yep. And your friend?
Where I think
Yeah. Okay.
it's steep up here, but I'm going. Well, oh, you wouldn't want to do this a few times a day. That was steep. You'd have to fit going up and down there. So this way would have went to the officers' mess, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Officers'
Officers, backman, servant.
Yeah. Oh.
But
So we had a guardhouse.
yeah,
Go
we're
down
going to
there.
have a look at that and see if we can get in.
All these archways through the wall for strength.
Yeah, yeah. You may